This is Mark and Charity's Coffee Podcast.
Mark and Charity Coffee Podcast for March 22nd. I'm sorry, are you not prepared?
I won't say what I want to say there because I don't believe that's the way to start off the podcast.
Too late. I'm ready to go. You said, okay, I'm ready to go. Let's do this then. Let's go. Come on. I've been here since 4.
Oh my God. I knew before I stepped into the booth that you were going to be wound today.
Am I a little bit much today?
What was it? I was out there typing away and gathering information, and I'm sitting there, and you came out. Now, our colleague, I guess, it didn't register with her, but it totally did with me because she didn't know that you were here. I'm like, how did you miss him? Because you came out in a whirlwind, and I caught it. But I'm like, okay, I'm trying to get ready. Like, okay, Mark, go. You're like, okay, well, how do you feel about this? And what if we do? Okay, yep, sounds good, perfect, good, okay. And then you'd go back in. And not to be dismissive, but I was like, oh my god.
It sounds dismissive.
No, it's not dismissive at all. and as soon as we turned the mic on, that first opening break this morning, I was like, what did I say to you when we got off? How long have you been here for?
Been here for 2 hours, so let's go. Let's just get this thing going.
Clearly, I took too long coming in this morning.
Yeah, you either bring it or you don't.
You were just, I don't want to say you were spinning, but you know how I see it in my kids when they get really,
I'm a big kid.
I want to say excited. It's like, okay, let's go. I'm ready. Let's go. It's like, okay,
I'm ready.
I haven't even finished my coffee yet. Can we slow down?
There's no slow down. It's morning show radio.
Just a touch. So, yes. So I'm not surprised that you started the podcast like that.
But the thing is, when I know I've got something that I can't wait
that's what it is.
to talk about.
That's what it is.
Let's
yes,
go.
That's what I mean with the kids. It's like, okay, I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah, I want to go do this.
And that's exactly, I'm like, he's got the whole show planned. He's ready. He knows exactly what he's saying when. I just have to go along for the ride this morning.
I don't know that I ever have that.
Yeah,
Because sometimes stuff just comes out.
Okay, well, the 6 a.m. kickoff you had planned for like hours.
I don't know that I did.
Like a kid on Christmas.
Couldn't wait
to unwrap it.
Glad you brought up Christmas. Okay, so here we go. Here's what we talked about this morning.
Oh, yes.
And
That's what it was.
Yes, this is totally what it was. This was had me all excited.
No.
There was a list released this morning of the most popular birth dates of people on the planet. And of the top 10, 9 of them fall within 2 weeks of each other. And it's mid-September. Well,
of course.
Duh.
Everybody's celebrating the holidays.
So in December,
that's the time. It's
let's
cold.
do this.
Everybody's happy.
Let's get at it.
Yep.
Getting it done.
Yep.
Bumping uglies, whatever you call it.
Happy for the gifts or maybe the cheer and
yeah, parties.
The whole thing. Yeah.
So September 9th through September 20th are 9 of the 10 most popular birth dates of people on the planet.
In the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
July 7th is in there. Anomaly.
9 months.
Yeah. I think early October, your football team's doing well. You're feeling good. You like the fall.
Okay.
Maybe that's it. I don't know. But anyway, then so of course, being the curious type, I thought, what are the least? So let's rank them to see whether, like February 29th would be in there. So there are 366 days they looked at. The bottom 4 are July 4th, Christmas Eve, New Year's Day, and the number 1 last, or number 366, is Christmas Day. So that's when it got interesting to me, and I went, well, I think I know why. And all things being equal, women would give birth the same number every day over years, right? Because this isn't just 1 year. This is over all years.
Yes.
It should be within...
It's so random that it should equal out or balance out, that it should be about the same number every day.
Exactly. Like, you know, if we did this poll again in 5 years, maybe September 9th, which was number 1, would drop to number 4, and September 10th is number, right? Mm-hmm. So, okay. So I get the whole thing about, you know, December begetting September babies.
Let's have a baby.
Yeah. Or let's just practice, and then it worked. But then when I looked at those 4 dates, what occurred to me is like, nobody would schedule cesareans, because that's the only anomaly.
Yeah.
Is
as soon as you pointed that out,
the only deciding factor is where women who would have to go through surgical birth would have the option to choose a date at which a doctor may say, we're not open that day.
That's true.
And wouldn't it be in the States, July 4th, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and New Year's Day are the 4th. And I thought, first of all, I thought about
Not just
you
the States, because you said worldwide.
True.
So yes,
true.
July 4th coincides with that, certainly. But Christmas and New Year's, yes. And you did point me out because both my boys were born cesarean.
Yeah, but I never would have thought that the number of cesareans would impact it as much as I think it did.
And you don't know that that's the reason.
True.
But I'm fairly confident that you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Because I was, not that I chose to have my children that way. Technically, I did with Ben, just because I had already had one. And I didn't pick the date so much as about this time. We should do it
right
about this time.
Sure.
So and the doctor's saying, I know I'm in this day. We're going to schedule it this day.
Exactly.
And it didn't have anything to do with my health. I would like to think that if there were any sort of health issues,
you better believe it,
we would do it tomorrow, kind of thing.
Yep, you're busy this afternoon.
Right.
Let's go. Yeah.
You're right. That as soon as you said it, I was like, wow. Yeah, I thought you were going to do something really jokey and off the wall. I don't know why I would think that, but that makes sense, Mark. And I even applauded you this morning.
The academic side of me, I should isolate that off the logger tape when Charity said very
well
good.
Well done. Well done. Yes.
I'm going to record that. Just save this part.
Because even though that was my experience, I do know some women who it wasn't because they necessarily had to. They wanted to have a C-section. Right. I don't know why you would choose that, because it's not all it's cracked up to be, let me tell you. But some do. And it makes me angry when they do that. But
really? Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I think it should run its course. Like it's supposed to be a natural progression, and you go into labor, and when you force it, or for whatever reason you don't want to have a vaginal birth, you'd rather have a C-section. I don't know why you would.
Why you would choose that?
But yeah, some women do. Some women actually choose, and they want it on specific dates. It's kind of like choosing the sex of a baby. Like it kind of. I feel the same way about that. Like that's not what we're meant to do. It's supposed to be random. It's supposed to be as it should, so
quote
to
unquote
speak.
Natural. Yeah.
So that's interesting. You're right. That was very interesting.
Before medical intervention, and I will call it medical intervention as opposed, like a C-section, as opposed to doctors getting involved. Childbirth was a dangerous thing.
Oh, 100%.
Hundreds of years ago.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So I mean, it is so much better. But again,
if the health of the mother or the child,
for sure.
I had to have a C-section with Nathan. There was no choice in that instance. So,
at what point did you know that? If you don't mind my asking.
I was already in labor.
Yeah, I was going to say
I tried to have a vaginal birth with him.
Like even a couple of days before you didn't know.
No, it was the that
emergency
day. It was.
C-section.
Nathan was an emergency. Ben was planned only because I'd had one already. And it was recommended that I have another one.
So whatever the problem was the first time could reemerge. Let's just
Let's just do it that way to be safe.
And the same thing for Kath. She had 2 troubled kind of deliveries, and they said, you really should think about the third.
Yeah.
Because we were ready to go. We were like, we got names. We're going to start. And then and it's funny, you have that discussion. Are we done? We're very grateful to have 2 very healthy ones. What do you think? Oh, but we wanted the third. And I've said, that third one we didn't have is my favorite child.
You're such an ass. But I know you're listening, Steph.
Yeah.
But you say about how dangerous it was, and it is, because I remember when we walked into the hospital, my husband is a very big man, much bigger than I am. And so when we first walked in, when I was going in for Nathan, the nurse actually, she stopped us. She looked at him. She looked at me. She's like, okay, did you look at his shoulders? Like, did you take that into consideration? So it's kind of, it's wouldn't have been, I was fortunate, as even though it was an emergency C-section, it did kind of go off without a hitch. Like, I was very fortunate. They weren't terrible circumstances or experiences by any means. But like a lot,
surgery,
and in places where they don't have the medical capabilities that we have here, it can be very, very dangerous to have babies.
So anyway, that's what we were. December 25th. We think of Christmas and birth, and nope, 366th of all the days. possibly because of that.
It
Anyway,
would
so that was
suck.
kind of cool this morning.
I have a cousin born on Christmas, and it does suck because the birthday gets overlooked.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
So I can understand that part, I guess.
And then we encountered the other list that you came up with, which was great, which was the happiest places on earth, the happiest countries in the world.
The happiest place on earth is Disney World.
Yeah.
We all know that.
And for all that's going on in North America, maybe today in the United States, so much anger, and here in Canada with protests and flags and everything, we're all a little bit up in arms. We managed to move up on the happiness scale, but still we're not in the top 10.
Not in the top 10. We landed at number 13, and that is up from 2 last year.
Yeah.
So we're creeping. This list is released every year, the annual World Happiness Report. It takes into consideration social support, income, health, freedom, generosity, and absence of corruption. Topping the list of happiest places is Finland.
Yeah,
Again this year.
I said Sweden, but it's Finland. They've got to figure it out.
Sweden landed at number 6. But Finland really does have, they say it's the welfare system, their ability to help its citizens feel taken care of. So they look after each other. They really, and as you pointed out, yes, they may pay more in taxes, but they are looked after. And they really come together as a community. It's not everyone out for themselves. You look after everyone else and you thrive and you're happy by doing that.
People will point to that and say, well, that's a socialist nation, like that's a bad thing. Yes, it is a socialist. In other words, they don't have rampant capitalism, which means a couple of things. Number one, they probably don't have many, many billionaires. They don't have a lot of people with all the money at the top, and they're probably not paying $4.50 for a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
Right? So
exactly.
The wealth isn't concentrated at the top as you get with rampant capitalism, but that's our system. But on the other hand, you pay more in taxes, but then education's looked after. Everybody goes to post-secondary. Yeah. You're not spending $100,000 to go to university. It's provided. Yes, you paid more in taxes, but we all benefit from an educated society. So, yes, I'm going to pay part of my taxes so that your child can become a doctor.
Well,
and when people say that isn't fair, well, really? When I become 80 and I need a cancer doctor, thank heavens your son or daughter became a doctor to save my life. And I help pay for that in a quote-unquote socialist society. I don't look down on it. I mean, we would be hard to convert. And every time we try and introduce a little bit more, the capitalists back up because I can't make money on it. But they got it figured out over there. They've kept it that way. And they all, like you say, Sweden's there, Norway's there, Finland's there, Denmark's there.
Netherlands.
Right, they're all there.
Switzerland. They're all in the top 10.
They're all
Iceland.
happy.
Yep.
No, they're not quote unquote rich, but they're also not poor. I would doubt they have abject poverty in there.
I think it's been proven being rich doesn't necessarily equal happiness.
Exactly. It's not wealth.
No, it's not in the monetary sense. It's not wealth.
Yep.
You can be wealthy. You can be rich and have just as much as the next person or as much as the next person. As you say, the gap's not there. And look at what the gap is doing. We're in 13th.
Yep.
So it's not happiness that it's creating, clearly. And we see that, as you said, with prices of everything. It's hard to be happy. It's hard. Yep. We're managing it. We're still in the top 20.
Now, there are 150 countries in this, so we're not going to pretend that the 137 below us don't wish they were Canada, because a lot of people wish they were Canadian.
And I was going to say, it's not that we don't have things to be happy about.
Right.
We certainly do.
Yeah.
But to look down your nose at Finland, who do have a different sort of society and how it's run economically and fundamentally, then you do. You need to wake up and think, we're still number 13, guys. And there's a lot worse countries that we could be part of or doing what they're doing. So Finland is doing something right. The
other country on the list I thought was really interesting, only because I learned more about it throughout the pandemic because of their prime minister. Was number 10 was New Zealand. She was fabulous. Not just what she did throughout the pandemic, the leadership she took to look after her country.
Yes.
Love it or hate it, she didn't sit by and wait to see what the rest of the world did. She stepped up and led.
And not
win or lose, and I thought you gotta back somebody like that.
Oh, and she did. She didn't care what everybody else was doing.
This is what we're going to do.
This is what we're doing. And not that this should matter, but I think it's amazing to point out she had a baby during it, too.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just she was running a country.
Yeah.
She had a baby. She became a mom. And anyone who's a parent knows what that is in itself. But to be doing that, she's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Step
and
down,
New Zealand,
I believe, right?
Yeah, I believe
down.
she's done this month.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah.
But yeah, number 10, New Zealand. And Israel, number 4.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought
bumped,
that.
I
Right.
didn't either, but it bumped Switzerland down, actually. It moved up 5 points this year, moving Switzerland down to 8 to take the number 4
also
spot.
in there, that's not in that area, but they are geographically. It seems to be growing in everybody's bucket list of countries to visit, and that's Iceland.
It landed at number 3.
Number 3.
Yep.
And the whole story, and it's an urban legend, or it's the truth, is that when Iceland was discovered, I believe it was, like I'll say, it was the Vikings, because they were the only ones up there at that time. It was so beautiful, they didn't want anybody to go, so they called it Iceland so nobody would go.
So people would stay
and
away.
Greenland was this barren, horrible place, so they called it Greenland.
Yes.
So everybody wanted to go to Greenland and not Iceland. And it's actually the other way around. Number 3 on that. So
No, it's
just
beautiful.
an amazing study. And then you begin to wonder, well, what would it take based on that criteria to move Canada up, or should we? Or should we just, accept the fact that we're not Afghanistan, which is number 150?
Afghanistan is the
Number
unhappiest country
and
in the
absolutely.
world.
I mean, take a look at corruption, lack of support,
The crime, yeah.
crime.
Yeah, it's
all of that.
horrible. It is horrible. Afghanistan and Lebanon are the top 2 countries on
Yeah.
the other side of things.
Flip side.
But I don't know. That's a good question, Mark. I would like to be in the top 10 because I do believe we live in a very happy country for the most part. Canadians are known to be polite and happy.
For all the discussion
overall.
of tyranny, I really don't feel that we're an overly corrupt. I don't think corruption
I don't
is
think
keeping
we're
us down.
more corrupt than anywhere else.
No, that's why. But I don't think
That's,
corruption's what's keeping us
No, I don't think it's corruption
down
either.
on that. Maybe distribution of wealth. I mean, I think our support system's pretty good. But again, of 150, 13's nothing to sneeze at, everybody.
No,
You know.
I am surprised at how high the U.S. is.
Because there is going to be another one that's going to come out around May.
You
And I
think?
only say that because it always tends to come out around the May long weekend. I can always remember talking about it like around, and it's the World Happiness Index. So this now takes into account the actual feelings of the citizens. Which country feels happiest? And Canada always ranks in the top 5.
That's what I mean. I
So
think
we can look from the outside in as a structural country
Yeah.
and say, okay, well, based on these factors, this is where you fit in. But when you actually get boots on the street and ask people, how do you feel about where you live? Canada does rank pretty high.
Well, it wasn't that long ago I was singing the praises with International Women's Day. There's a lot here to be happy about, certainly. Looking from the outside, when you compare us to Finland and Denmark and Switzerland and the rest, yeah, we may fall down a little bit, but I don't think we're on the ground by any means.
No.
We may be a little hunched over. We need
Yeah.
to straighten up in some areas.
If we were in the
But-
80s as a West Coast, as a Western society, Western civilization, if we were like number 85, I would be shocked. Then we'd have a lot of work to do. But 13's not bad.
No. And like I said, America's at 15.
15.
And I'm surprised by that. I thought it would be lower.
Yeah.
I really,
Just by
I
everything
really
you
did.
read in here.
Yeah, by being someone looking in from the outside and seeing what's going on there, and I get frustrated with what's going on there. So
Yeah.
I can't. But again, boots on the ground in the country, it might be different.
Yeah, people
So
living
we'll
there
see.
may
We'll watch
be
for the
immune to
index.
it. Yeah, and we talked about my daughter already. She traveled to Europe last year, maybe twice in the last 18 months on quick little trips, and then went to LA for a week because she had some vacation time. Came back and said, after being to Europe, I think I'm okay. Never going back to the United States. It's not the be all and end all. Once you've been over there, because I've never been to Europe, she said, Dad, once you go, your entire view of, she said, the world will change. It isn't all North America centric. When
No.
you're out of it, it is pretty amazing. So not surprised to see that.
No, so it was kind of interesting
Yeah.
to see where we ranked and where the other countries fell within that list, within the top 20, and on both sides, on the happiness and unhappiness side of things.
And before we let you go, Throwback Thursday tomorrow. Now that spring has arrived, we have our springtime songs, team charities. Hello, Mr. Blue Sky.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I will give you credit. You mentioned it yesterday.
Oh, I'm such a
I was like,
fan.
oh, I want that. And you were gracious enough to give it up. And then you went with John Fogerty. So it's not like you're losing. It's not like you really gave up anything.
So
I think that was your whole plan. to
Here's
be
what I
honest.
did.
Yes, I know.
said, wow, I'm going to play with the toy I don't mind giving up. And then you come over and it said, mine. And then I went, ha ha, I'm going to pick this one. And now I'm winning. so childish.
Yeah.
Because I've been here since 4.
Planning it all out.
Get your vote in on Facebook. Mr. Blue Sky or Centerfield winning songs coming up tomorrow morning after the 8 o'clock news on our Throwback Thursday. Endless Loop is coming up tomorrow with Galaxy of Games. What a great prize pack we've got with the Grange Winery. Wine tasting, pairing, you and 9
whole
friends.
Experience.
10 people, or you 8 friends and a friend of me you ignore. Like, we really don't care.
You need 10 people, though.
10 people is
Take
the bottom
10 people.
line. Like an Agatha Christie murder mystery. Take 10, kill them off along the way.
Oh my
Like,
gosh,
we really
no,
don't
do
care.
that. I do. Don't do that.
That sounds like such a great book idea. Sherry Lapina, come up with that one. That'll be a lot of fun. But anyway, your
It
chance to
will be.
qualify for that is coming up with Galaxy of Games tomorrow morning. You'll have the Pulse. Jimmy Hollywood's going to have new movies, of which I believe there's other big films coming out this weekend, I think. I've lost track of which one it is.
Now, is
There's a big
Jennifer
one
May
coming out.
Anderson joining us tomorrow?
She is. You want to do that? We should get her
we
on
can
the
throw
show
her
tomorrow.
in there too. We
Yeah.
talked to her about the Caregiver Expo coming up.
Big time.
Quinny Hospice is hosting it in Trenton. It's going to be wonderful, a great opportunity to learn and find support and just have a really interesting day.
If you find yourself now in the role of caregiver,
Yeah.
she called it the team you never thought you'd sign up to join.
Exactly.
Nobody expects to, but now you feel alone, or you feel, I'll use this word because you feel it, but it's not true. You feel inept. You feel unprepared.
You're lost.
How am
All
I
these
providing the right
questions,
care?
exactly.
What do I do? What do I do when I have that thought goes through my head that says maybe it's time to move out of this hut? Like,
That's
all of these
exactly what I
things.
was thinking, because she mentioned real
Yeah.
estate
Yeah.
was going to be there.
All of
And I
these
thought,
things.
that's one that didn't even come to mind. You think
Yeah.
care, like actual care and
Yeah.
healthcare and support. You don't think of, well, now mom and dad may have to move.
Yeah.
How do I do that? How do I handle this? How can I
Yeah.
move them to where they
Yep.
need to go? It's, what you might not even think.
When my mother had a stroke a year before she passed away, my dad said to me, he thought maybe he would have to put her in care. And the thought of having his wife move out of their home, but he wanted to talk to the children that this is what I'm struggling with. I cannot even conceive of the agony of thinking that I have to make a decision where I don't get to live with my wife anymore. How do you
She
sit
doesn't
and do
get to
that?
be home.
Yeah. How do you sit there in your 70s and make that decision on your
Yeah.
own? Go to this expo. Experts are going to be 37 booths, 6 talks, all kinds of
Sessions
people.
throughout the day, beginning at 10.
Lunch, door prizes, lifelines. That's what that's all about. Jennifer May Anderson on the show tomorrow to talk more about that. She's so good.
Really good.
Executive Director of Hospice
Quinty.
Quinty. So that's coming up tomorrow on the show. Have yourself a great Wednesday. Today we're back at it tomorrow morning with Mark and Charity Mornings on 95.5 Hits FM. Belleville, Ontario, Canada. Nice work, Scandinavia. You happy people. We'll talk to you tomorrow.